All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. We got Carter and Richie tonight. How you boys doing tonight?
Doing great, Duke. Friday night lights, football going on. Can't complain. All is right with the world.
Yeah, man, doing wonderful. It's a wonderful little Friday. I know my Kaufman Shamrocks really dropped the ball tonight, so a little disappointed in them losing to the Centerville Elks, 42-7 or some shit. I mean, they just got railed. But that's whatever. That it was surprising they were a 14 seed because it's Ohio. Everybody gets in the playoffs. So they made a little run, which was nice. But other than that, man, I'm just waiting for Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, man. That's the big story of the night, right?
Yes. Tyson, Jake Paul. We have a barn burner for the Big Ten traditionalists out there. UCLA, Washington about to kick off. UTSA, North Texas is underway, and the $600,000 man, Braden Fowler Nicolosi, and the Colorado State Rams are taking on the Wyoming Cowboys right now as we roll. So Friday night college action is jam-packed tonight, boys.
Love it. UCLA, Washington. I mean, that's a historic Big Ten matchup.
Yes.
I mean, it dates back to Abraham Lincoln's time, I think, doesn't it?
Right? Yeah.
I look at something like that and I just think to myself, I'm like, why? Maybe we can get this conference realignment thing figured out. There was some things that Ross Dillinger put out today that there are some lawmakers absolutely freaking out right now about Title IX. So I don't know what exactly is going to happen here, boys, on this whole House versus NCAA. And there's like a handful of shows talking about this. And I know there's some major publications out there that have not mentioned this yet. And, we're one of the first people to mention this that are even paying attention to it because it's like a small story. I know I'm going off the books here, but when this hits the fan in the people that, are the casual college football fan, like realize about what is going on throughout, how they're going to be cutting sports at universities, and if the universities, run it aground where there's a hole in the athletic budget and they come ask the taxpayer to come figure that out. With this going forward, there's going to be people freaking out because it's all going to change. And it's going to be one of those things that's like, what happened? What changed? What happened? And it's going to be like, well, if you guys would have paid attention to this, a year ago, whenever we were telling you about it, you might know something. You might be ahead. So
it's going to be crazy to watch it pan out. I mean, Title IX is a real thing. I mean, that's a legitimate law that's in place. And universities are going to have to navigate that with the added expense of paying these athletes. It's going to cause problems. I don't know why nobody is really talking about it. I mean, because everybody I hear is like, well, yeah, obviously athletic departments are going to have to get smaller and cut sports that don't generate revenue, which is true. But they're legally bound to maintaining a certain number of female sports and a certain number of male sports and maintaining equilibrium across that. And it's like, I'm sorry, like nothing, against it, but female sports generate basically no revenue for the universities. So those are typically going to be the first ones cut. Same with a bunch of male sports that don't generate revenue, but it's going to be hard to maintain that equal level playing field for men and women in sports in the NCAA while you have to pay these people. Because a lot of this, historically, this has been subsidized by college football.
Well, a lot of times, we'll hit on this real quick, and we got about 20 people in here watching. So shout out to everybody watching. Hit up in the chat and hit us with some questions, and we'll be open to answering those. So and also hit the like and subscribe button. That also really helps us grow this platform. But the last thing I got on the House versus NCAA is that, a lot of these folks have got to they're going to have to figure this out. And I don't know when it's going to be, but it's going to be somewhere down the rabbit hole. So, but with that being said, let's get into it, Carter.
Yeah. I mean, it's Friday, November 15th. I know people have had this date bookmarked for months and months and months. It was supposed to be over the summer, and then old man Tyson had himself some hemorrhoid issues or whatever, and had to delay it. But we got Mike Tyson, Iron Mike, heavyweight champion of the world at one point. I think he was the heavyweight champion of the world before Jake Paul was even born, which is insane. But he is facing off with Jake Paul, the YouTube star, who is apparently a fighter now and has fought some people. But he was, they had obviously their weigh-in media, thing that everybody does. And Mike Tyson slapped the fuck out of Jake Paul. I mean, here's a little still shot for you. I mean, he slapped the dog piss out of him.
You know why he slapped him?
I don't. I saw Jake Paul like kind of.
Jake Paul stepped on his foot.
Yeah, well, don't step on the. I mean, goddamn, where I'm from, that's warranted then. But yeah, he slapped the piss out of him, and just look at that, man. Mike Tyson is like 65 years old, and just look at that specimen.
I believe he's 58.
Yeah, whatever, 65, 58, half dozen, whatever.
He's the real life Balboa.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, I hope. I know we got some time before, the bell rings or whatever. I think they're still in the first fight right now, so it probably won't ring for another 2 hours. But what do you guys think? I mean, I think Tyson's going to fuck him up. I honestly believe that.
I'm surprised he's not pissing. Jake Paul's not pissing down his leg.
So go ahead, Duke. You go first. I got some.
I think it's a lot of boxing masturbation, and it gets the sports books rolling. Because a lot of people are gonna bet on it, and like, I don't know.
A lot of states you're not allowed to bet on it.
Well, I mean, in the great state of Indiana, they're running promos for it. So
yeah, Indiana's different. All right, you can bet on your mother's death if you want to.
Yeah, so
they really opened it up in Indiana.
Yeah, we're allowed to bet on everything except no online table games. You got to go to a casino, and they're actually going to build a casino like 15 minutes away from me, like a full-on legit like Hoosier Park.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when I need to make some player props, because the great governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, in his infinite wisdom, made player props for college athletics illegal. So I just take a short little hour-and-a-half drive to the border, cross over the border, log into my FanDuel. I'm in Indiana. I can place props on Will Howard's over passing yards, over touchdowns, whatever I want. So that's what I do. But, I don't know, man. So Jake Paul, I don't think Jake Paul even believes he's going to beat Jake Paul or beat Mike Tyson. And here's why. I don't know if you guys saw it, but they had obviously he's a YouTuber, so everything he does is for content purposes, right? So this is an 8-round fight. I think it's an exhibition. It's not like a sanctioned fight or whatever, like every fight he does, because he knows if he went to a sanctioned fight, the boxers would actually give a fuck because that impacts their career record. Exhibitions don't. So
Yeah.
that's why he does these fights that are big money fights that aren't real fights. But he did a YouTube thing with his brother Logan, who's another YouTuber, and what does he do? He might do UFC.
He's in
shit.
WWF. He's in WWF.
That's what it is. He does some other shit. But they had both of them in a room, and they hooked Logan Paul, Jake's brother, up to a lie detector. And he was asking him questions, and he asked him, he's like, "Do you honestly believe I can beat Mike Tyson?" And Logan said, "Yeah." And then the room lit up red, and they said, "That was a lie." And then Jake
lie detector found out that was a lie.
And Jake was like, "Dude, what the fuck? Like, you don't honestly believe in me?" And he's like, and he just looked at me and goes, "Jake, do you honestly believe you can beat Mike Tyson?" And he paused for a second. He goes, "Yeah, absolutely." And the guy goes, "He's not hooked up to a lie detector. I can't tell you if that's true or false." And he goes, "All right, hook him up." And so they hooked Jake Paul up to the lie detector, and they ask him again, like, "Do you believe you're going to beat Mike Tyson?" And again, he paused. He's sweating. Could be just for dramatic effect for the YouTube video, right? But he says yes, and room lights up red. He doesn't even believe that. But it'll be interesting, man. I love Mike Tyson, man. I know that he's, been through some stuff and done some things that are not exactly kosher, but I love Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Especially when he gave, Allen that left hook in Vegas.
Right on cue.
Right on cue after they stole his tire.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I guess we'll have to take everybody up to that. We will see how that shakes out, and we'll have it. You guys will be able to talk about it Saturday. I will be out of town. So,
yeah, absolutely. And then jumping more into what this show is and kind of, more on brand. Obviously, Mike Tyson's fighting. It's big news, so we want to talk about it a little bit. But in the college football world, Notre Dame gets a big-time commitment this week out of a linebacker, 4-star linebacker commits. And it's kind of an interesting time because right now is kind of a dead time for recruiting where you don't get a whole lot of commitments. You might get some flips and things like that, and we'll talk about that shortly. But Notre Dame goes out and they get themselves a 4-star linebacker, Thomas Davis Jr., really a phenomenal player. I watched some of his film after he committed, and I mean, I think this is big time for Notre Dame. I think this is what they were looking for. Obviously, I've talked ad nauseum about the 2025 class and how they were ranked number 1 in March or whatever, and how everybody was just over the moon about it. And I told them to calm down, and they've obviously lost Deuce Knight. They lost Ivan Taylor. They lost Derek Meadows, and they've done some things that now that class might not even be top 10. I don't think, maybe top 15. But this is a big commitment for the 2026 class. I don't know, Duke or Richie, if you know anything about him, but when I saw this come down, it was a patented Mark Pantoni boom from me.
yeah, the way the recruiting has been going the last month it's on the verge of getting wild. Like, if you look at what's going on, that is the dumpster fire that is Florida State. Mike Norvell, those kids are jumping ship. There's like 6 or 7 of them going to visit to Florida this weekend. So
we talked about the 4-star quarterback that just decommitted from Florida State. So in a land where you're losing kids left and right, like some places, it's nice to get a commitment.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it kind of makes it interesting that, you have Dabo over there at Clemson. He is holding a not the best lottery ticket, but I mean, it's looking better than what's going on at Florida State.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I agree. And I love seeing it. You like to see momentum. Um, and I think Notre Dame has a lot of it in the recruiting class right now, and it gives optimism. I will say, I see this all the time. I love getting big time recruits. A high 4-star like this is great. It is a bit ironic that it is a defensive player again, because for some reason that's all Notre Dame can recruit is high defensive quarter or defensive players and linebackers, D linemen, corners, safeties, you name it. They can lock up the defense, but they still struggle to get a big time recruit at wide receiver or a big time recruit at tight end. I mean, they get good tight ends, obviously. They're in the running for tight end but it's a big time get for Notre Dame, and obviously we haven't talked a whole lot about Notre Dame this week just because they had a bye week and essentially a bye week with Florida State. I mean, 52-3. We'll talk about it a little bit, but
I'm gonna have to go out and come back in.
All right. We're gonna lose Duke for a minute. He's having some technical issues, but yeah, I think it's big time. And, as we talk about recruiting, I know there's some things that we're going to get to today about kids that were highly recruited that are potentially entering the portal. One of them is a quarterback at Ohio State, which we'll touch on in a little bit. But Richie, when you look at recruiting classes, like I know Ohio State has a top recruiting class right now. And, as you look at these classes, how excited as a fan can you really get about these kids, knowing that there's almost a greater than 50% chance that they leave before they ever see the field?
It's a little disheartening because you get all pumped up seeing these names and their how many stars they're worth. Like, oh, can't wait to see him don the scarlet and gray, or come play at South Bend, and they decide to switch up last minute. It's a little disheartening. Like, you get it's a different world. Like we've been saying, like with recruiting now, kids are they're getting the bags thrown at them, and it's who knows, like with Rayola. Like, I remember when he came, he was committed to Ohio State. Like, he could. I'd love to see this kid. Then he went to Georgia. Then he went to Nebraska. It's like, Jiminy criminy, make up your mind. What are you gonna do? Like, stay committed. At least stay committed to one place, not 3 different places. It's to me, it's kind of annoying. Like, just seeing how guys just flip flop.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And like, I think one of the greatest examples of that is, I mean, he actually came to campus and was on campus at Ohio State. But could you imagine Ohio State the last 2 years if they had somebody like Quinn Ewers at quarterback? Like, I know he hasn't been great this year necessarily. And sorry, I got kids here this weekend. They're
popping in and out.
Crazy. Yeah. But like, imagine last year if Quinn Ewers stays, if he doesn't leave his freshman year and he stays, and he actually, I mean, because I think everybody can agree he probably beats out Kyle McCord for that job.
He definitely most would. Right.
Yeah. And then what does that look like for Ohio State last year? Do they beat Michigan? Do they go to the playoffs? Probably.
They probably.
Yeah. Do they win a natty? I mean, maybe. And then he would be coming back this year and would be doing, essentially his second year starting like he's doing at Texas, but he would have, in my opinion, a much better supporting cast as far as, wide receivers go, running back room. Now, Texas has a good running back room. They just are all hurt. But I think it's, that's something, as an Ohio State fan, like, thinking about that, like, what does that do? Like, what does that do to the program?
It's that big what if. Like, what if he did get Ohio State that win in Ann Arbor last year? What if they did go on a playoff run last year? it's a little disheartening. It's like, oh man, and you see him, he was, how he played earlier this year before he got hurt. It's like, man, that would have been great to have him in Columbus this year, you know, playing quarterback for the Buckeyes with the wideouts at Tate, JJ, and Puka.
Yeah.
I mean, he can throw it. Quinn
Yeah,
can throw it.
he can sling it. And then, yeah, it's interesting to think about. And then, it really paints a picture because he was the top recruit in the country, right? I mean, number one quarterback in the nation. He came to Ohio State. He was
early.
here. Yeah, he reclassified, which I think Ryan Day was probably a little upset he did. Because I think if Quinn Ewers was in the following class, it would have been easier for Ryan to keep him. But because he reclassified as late as he did, I think Ryan felt like an obligation to try to find a way to keep him, but then didn't take him on their road game. And I mean, took kids that Quinn Ewers knew, obviously I'm better than. And, from what I've heard, Quinn Ewers was told, Kyle McCord will never start at Ohio State. These quarterbacks that are here are never going to start here. You're the next guy. And then he's on the practice squad, not even traveling with the team. And he was like, well, what the fuck? Why am I not right. But it brings up a good topic because now there's another number one quarterback in the nation who is Quinn wasn't in state for Ohio State, but who is an in-state prospect for a local school, and they just threw a massive bag at him, and I don't think they're going to get him. And that would be none other than, let me put it up on the screen here, we'll talk about it, but Bryce Underwood, who is the current LSU commit. He's from the state of Michigan, literally lives like 25 minutes from Ann Arbor. Like I'm not talking about he's from northern Michigan 5 hours away. Like he grew up with Ann Arbor in his backyard, right?
Yep.
And he is the golden child of Michigan football. They have been going after him for years. He committed to LSU. Michigan fans were disappointed. They signed none other than myself, Carter Smith, out of Florida, who has decommitted from Michigan at this point because of how hard they were going after Bryce Underwood. Then it comes out that Dave Portnoy and the boys at Michigan put together a $10.5 million NIL deal over the course of 3 to 4 years for Bryce Underwood. Which would be the largest NIL deal that's been reported in the history of NIL, which is only a couple years, but still, and offered it to him. And this is how he responds to you offering him $10.5 million. He shares a post saying that number one quarterback likely to decline Michigan's $10.5 million offer. And he shares it to his Instagram story, with him in a full LSU uniform, throwing up the L, all that. I mean, the disrespect is just outlandish. I mean, just he's got to be trolling Michigan at this point. Like,
he's got to be. Maybe he's
trying
to get more money out of him.
I don't know how you could ever think you're going to get more. I don't think there's a bag big enough to get him to go to Michigan. I think that's what it comes down to.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, if you really break it down and look at it for what it is, I mean, they're probably paying exponentially more than what LSU is willing to pay because they're that desperate. And I think a lot of times people don't want to accept the fact that, some kids just don't want to go to your school. It's, you see it all the time with the, whatever beat reporter that's got a show. It is pivot to, okay, he's not coming. It's just like the Notre Dame people with the Deuce Night stuff. What they say? He's not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. He might go somewhere, And then it was, oh, no, he went somewhere else. Well, we didn't want him anyway. We didn't need him. Didn't want him. And it's just like, and then we're going to go out and sign somebody that's better. I'm like, it's like, you need to make up your mind on some of this recruiting stuff, in my opinion, because either the kid's good or he's not. But, I mean, history tells us if you go through the Elite 11 and you go through some of the, just top 25 recruits for the last, like 15 years since they've been keeping track of it, it is very interesting to see some of the names on that list on how many guys didn't even – I'm not even talking about panning out in the NFL. I'm talking about panning out in college.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And my thing is, Ryan Day would get absolutely fucking destroyed if this happened in the state of Ohio.
It would. It'd be top front page news and call it in the Dispatch.
If you told me that there was a kid from Dublin, Ohio, which is around 20 minutes from campus, who was the number one quarterback in the country, and he committed elsewhere, first of all, that would be national news in itself.
Right.
But then you turn around and offer him $10.5 million, even if you spread it over the course of 4 years. That's like $3 million a year almost, or 2.7 something. But in all likelihood, if he's as good as you think, it's only 3 years. So that's about 3.5 million a year. You offer him that money, which is more than any quarterback has ever gotten in the NIL era. And he still says, essentially, fuck you. Ryan Day would be on every talk show across America. Not him, but they would be talking about him. And it would be national news. I mean, people would be calling for his job over this. Justin Fry lost a tackle to Tennessee who might be good, and people wanted to fire him. But somehow Sharon Moore loses the biggest recruit to come out of Michigan since, I don't know, name another.
I can't remember anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe ever. And nobody cares. It's
Nobody
good.
bats an eye.
Michigan fans are telling me, well, that's good. Now we have $10.5 million in NIL money we can redistribute to other people.
Yeah, it don't work like that, buddy.
Now we have 10.5. It's like a salary cap. Now we got 10.5 in free cap space, baby. We're going to go get 6 guys. Okay. Yeah. No, what it tells me is your program's a joke. Nobody respects it. Big time players don't want to play for it. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. And if this becomes a trend, I mean, Michigan's going to get worse and worse and worse. Like, I know everybody is upset with how bad Michigan is this year, like Michigan fans specifically, and saying, like, it's a bad year. Dude, have you looked at what they're going to be next year?
It's going to be worse next year.
Yeah, they're going to lose a lot of good players and not replace them with damn near anybody. But it's crazy to me. It is absolutely insane. The kid, more power to the kid. Listen, I don't know if he has parents that are advising him or who's in his ear, but he's listening to people that are giving him good advice. Because, in my opinion, $10.5 million is life-changing money, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
but it could be a $200 million mistake to go to Michigan. Because if he goes to LSU for half that, right? Say it's $5 million, $6 million, whatever it is, and he gets developed into a first-round quarterback, he's going to make damn near $200 million in his NFL career, and that probably wouldn't happen at Michigan.
Yeah, business move, business decision.
And also on the LSU front, I know, Carter, you're not going to like to hear this, but the Brian, like all the people that are trying to push the Brian Kelly's getting fired, No.
He's not going.
He's not getting fired. What are you talking about?
I think his buyout doesn't decrease. It only decreases $9 million per year, and it's like at 60.
Yeah, I mean, outside of his buyout, and this is what, as a Notre Dame fan, let me just explain what you're going to go through as an LSU fan for the next decade. This is what is going to happen. He's going to be successful enough to not get fired. I mean, he was in the SEC championship in his first year. He's in the conversation for the SEC again this year. Obviously, bad loss, but I believe there's still a route for him to get to the SEC title game this year. And so he's going to be in the conversation every year. It's just he's going to lose games a lot. Like, I mean, just one or two a year where you're like, God fucking damn it.
Here's a fun fact. There's actually an analytical scenario out there. I seen it on Instagram. I should have sent it to you when I seen it, but there's an actual mathematical situation to where LSU can win the SEC championship and get left out of the playoff. It's mathematically I'll have to find it, but it is out there in I know.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yes.
So what? Okay, so the way the playoff is written is the top 5 conference champions get in, right?
The top ranked.
Yeah, top 5 ranked conferences. So there's a chance that LSU could win the conference, and then what? The Big 10, ACC, Big 12,
Mountain West,
American, and Mountain West are all ranked above them.
Yep.
And okay, well, yeah. And there's a chance Sydney Sweeney's going to show up at my door naked.
Well, I'm just saying that it's out there. All right.
Yeah, I'm saying there's a chance. Like
there's a chance.
But no,
there's a chance.
Here you go. This is exactly
Great point, Brian.
Brian, thank you. I don't ever want to hear a Michigan fan tell me developed, not bought again. Right? Because you're still making fun of it, which is hilarious because Ohio State got a lot of flack for their $20 million roster, right?
Yep.
The funny part is that came out, and then we found out it's not even the most expensive roster in college football. It's ranked 2nd or 3rd, and Michigan's is $16 million. So, and you guys are fucking 5-4, or what? 5-5 now? Like
5-5.
Yeah. So miss me with that develop not bought shit. You guys just offered half of Ohio State's entire payroll for one player who's not even going to come to your school.
Yeah,
but it's crazy. I love it. And fun fact for you. If Bryce Underwood accepted the $10.5 million, even if it was over 4 years instead of 3, do you know where that would place him as far as NFL draft picks?
I haven't got the slightest idea.
Probably 3rd or 4th round money.
Nope. He would be a late first rounder. Keon Coleman, the number 33 pick in the draft. His rookie deal is 4 years, $10,074,000. So Bryce Underwood, as a 18-year-old kid, would be making more than somebody who went to college and proved he could play at an elite level and was drafted with the first pick in the 2nd round.
Wow.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea of the money we're talking about. So that's what he's turning down by not going to Michigan. How bad do you have to be? Like, I'm sorry, I can't get over it. And Bryce Underwood, you might be I can't root for you if you're at LSU because Brian Kelly's there, but I hope you go 9-3 every year, but have great stats. But
Heisman numbers.
Yeah, I mean, really, really just show out, have a great time. However, as we get into kind of, talking about schools that are in the conversation for the playoffs, and LSU obviously has an outside shot. Did you guys see the SMU coach?
Yes, I did see the
and what he had to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
let me
didn't
throw
get
it
a
up.
chance to see it. Yeah, throw it up.
All right, let me put it on for you here.
I don't think you'll be able to show the whole thing.
No, I will.
I got no audio.
Richie, can you hear it?
I can't hear it.
Oh.
But anyway,
weird.
what
Well,
Rhett
anyways,
Lash
I don't know why the audio is not.
because on some of the ESPN clips it knows where it's at. Like Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that wasn't from ESPN.
Oh, it wasn't?
Yeah. No, but it's not a big deal. Anyways, basically what he's saying, he's talking about the ACC, and he was asked about SMU not getting more respect, and he pivoted from that to the ACC not getting more respect, and essentially said that he thinks it's ridiculous that their conference doesn't get more respect, like essentially being a one bid conference. When he talks about all the metrics that they have about how that ACC has a winning record against the Big Ten this year, and if they do well in rivalry week against the SEC, they could have a winning record against the SEC, and it essentially just goes on about kind of what I talked about the other day about the fact that SMU is not getting respect is bullshit.
It is.
However, the way he approached it was the wrong way. Because he started to make it about the conference, and you can bring that up because I think the ACC is like 4-1 against the Big Ten or something like that. But do you know what those games were?
It's the games, and like the analogy was bad.
Yeah.
Although I really like Rhett Lashley, but also if you take the bottom 4 teams from every conference, every power conference, they're all the same. They're all the same. It's like UCLA versus Mississippi State. What are we doing? We're splitting hairs at that point. You take who's at the bottom? Oklahoma State versus I don't even know who's at the bottom of the ACC. NC State.
Wake
Forest. Is there really that much of a difference in between those? It's just a damn badge on the jersey and where the school's located. It just
I mean, the thing is he starts out with a good point and then he takes it the wrong way because nobody gives a shit about the ACC. I mean, I'll be honest with you, but he brings up a good point. Like Vandy beating Alabama is somehow means the SEC stronger than Georgia Tech beating Miami. I'm like, that's a good point. Vandy's not a good team. I don't care what anybody tells you. They're not. Georgia Tech's also not.
I don't think Georgia Tech and Georgia Tech dipped with, Vandy winning. But realistically, I mean, if you look at Florida State is the worst fucking team in the ACC right now, and
which is sad. But I would say
no, that's a Mike Norvell problem. It starts with him and it ends with him. And
I don't disagree.
And 3-1-2-0, the guy should have ate the dog shit.
Yeah, that's what's really the problem. If he would have ate that dog shit, they'd probably be 7-5 right now.
This man needs to be. He needs to be brought to justice. Someone. I mean, the Kansas State burrito guy. He had the beefy 5-layer up the old poop chute. So
look, Kansas State just beat. Shit, who did beat?
Kansas State is in the running for an outside chance of maybe making the playoffs. But 3-2-1-0 needs to be brought to justice. Somebody needs to put an APB out. The homies need to go looking for this guy because He is single-handedly taking down Florida State by not eating the dog shit. I'm firmly convinced of that.
Well, if I'm Mike Norvell, I'm finding out who that is, and I'm contacting him like, dude, you fucked me. I could lose my job.
I don't think they'll fire him, but
no, they won't. But
does he deserve to get fired? Yeah, because he fires Alex Atkins. It's not even the play caller. He's just the offensive line coach.
Anyway, but okay, I'll push back on that. Listen, as the offensive coordinator or defense coordinator of a school, you know that the first move the head coach is going to make when shit happens is you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of signing up to be an offensive coordinator. That's just, you know that, and you believe in your guy, and you know, and I guarantee if you asked Alex Atkins right now if he's upset with Mike Norvell about it, he'd probably say no. Because what else is he going to do?
He's probably saying, "Thank God I'm out of there."
Well, maybe, but I mean,
listen, look, the recruiting classes.
Perfect example for you. My grandfather had a bad year. The defense wasn't very good. So he had to go fire the entire defensive staff. Do you know who was on that defensive staff?
Pete Carroll and Nick Saban.
Yes. And when Nick Saban talked about it, he said, I completely understood. Like, I was pissed at the time. Like, Nick Saban and my grandfather got in a bit of a little fucking shouting match or something. Like, I mean, it got pretty heated. Because Nick Saban didn't feel like he was a good defensive backs coach. He was doing his job. And then he said, but once I became a head coach and I went through stuff like that, I understood. And I went, oh, no, he did what he had to do. That makes sense. And so like it was respect from there. And so like as an assistant coach, I'm sorry. There's put it this way. If you're the offensive coordinator of a bad team, your options are you get fired, head coach keeps his job. Or head coach can stand up for you, right? Be a good guy. Really say, no, he's doing a good job. And then guess what happens? Head coach gets fired, you lose your job.
Everybody gets fired.
Either way, you're losing your job. Like,
yeah.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
I look at it like this. At 1-8 or 1-9, does making a change at the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator?
For some people, it appeases the fans and the boosters, and it just, at least we're trying to change something. Like, I mean, it's a bullshit optics firing, but it's what you have to do when you're in that situation. Like, it's either that or we have no answers. Like,
so here's a hypothetical. So next year they come out and they look the same, like dog shit.
Well, then you're in Lincoln Riley's camp.
What do you do? What do you
it depends on the school.
Guys? No. I'm talking about Florida State. I said, if they come out and look like shit on both sides of the ball again, was it the last guys you fired, or is it the guy making the decisions? Because I firmly think it's the guy.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. 100%. Lincoln Riley's the problem at USC as well, and he's fired coordinators to try to make it right, and he can't. But then it just comes down to the athletic director, because like all you're doing, like obviously the reason he fired these coordinators were not because he thought that was going to solve the issues. Mike Norvell didn't wake up one day after the Notre Dame game and go, you know what? These coordinators suck. That's the problem. He got a call from the athletic director that said, hey, you need to make some changes or we need to have a conversation.
Yep.
And he went into the staff room and said, guys, I came down from above. I got to let you go.
Yep.
And if it comes down to next year and they are shit again, then the athletic director is not going to make that same call unless he's a spineless fuck like the USC athletic director. He's going to make a call that says, hey, we gave you an opportunity to make it right. You didn't. Obviously, it's you. Time to go.
Well, here's not that I'm trying to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. Yeah. But so let's say the athletic director makes that call, right? Mm-hmm. He called and said, you need to make some changes at, X position, right? The two coordinators. Well, they come out and they look like shit again. And then he says, well, why is recruiting so bad? Well, we just fired our top recruiter because you wanted to make changes. So what do you want me to do? Shit out another top guy? Everything was great when they were 13-0.
Right.
When they were building, ascending, they're on the rise.
Let me let you in on a little secret, Duke.
Oh, it's
your boss
contract.
does not give a fuck. What do you mean? Recruiting was great? Buddy, I pay you $10 million a year. Recruiting better be great whether I say my grandson's recruiting or fucking Nick Saban himself. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. There's no excuses. Like, if I come to you and say recruiting shit, that's on you. Your job is to make sure it's good. If you're not performing, and then if you come to me with like, well, I had to fire my coordinators. Well, guess what? Why'd you have to fire them? Because you weren't performing. So it's on you. I mean, I'm sorry. That's just how it works.
I'm just saying that instead of creating a better situation, you make it tougher. I'm saying that Florida State is making it tougher on themselves.
Maybe.
I think they're making it tougher for Norvell. So they do have a reason to, if it goes like Duke, like you were saying, if it goes to shit next year, well, hey, you change it, you gotta go.
Well, so I also disagree with that a little bit, because if I'm the athletic director of Florida State and I report to the president, firing Mike Norvell next year is going to be very, very expensive. And all of a sudden the president's going to be looking at me like, why the fuck did you give him that contract?
Okay, so I looked at that. His buyout's $60 million.
Yeah, exactly. You can't, like, if I'm the athletic director, I need to avoid that at all costs. But I also need to avoid the boosters and the president come to me saying, like, dude, what's going on with our football program? Because I'm in charge of that. So it's a delicate balance. But the bottom line is, it comes down from the AD. He tells you, you need to make changes. You decide what those changes are. He decided, nobody, the athletic director didn't come to him and say, you need to fire both coordinators. He came to him and said, hey, you need to make some changes. This shit is terrible. And Norvell went, okay, these are the changes that he probably wants me to make in order to show him I'm serious. So he made those changes. Now you're expected as the head coach to bring in guys that are as good, if not better. That's the expectation.
We gotta keep her moving here because the fight's about to start soon. But
okay. We still got an hour and a half. It's not starting until 11.
Oh yeah, that is right. But well, what I'm saying is that this is the last thing I got on this. When you're building the program, in which Mike Norvell was doing great, the first 5 years outstanding, and then this year, I mean, it was.
He was building a good program. Yeah,
he was building a good program, and something changed, and I don't know what. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was, but I don't know if
missed evals on talent in the portal. Could be. Obviously, everybody's not rowing in the same direction on this staff.
Yeah,
and so maybe the staff.
I think maybe the problem. I think maybe the locker room too. The players are just.
Oh, I think the locker room in college football is going to be worse and worse as time goes on, because it's going to be, with the NIL stuff like that, it's a total complete dumpster fire. And then also you have, like I said, a $60 million buyout, and then you have the House versus NCAA stuff that's going to be, an extra 25 million. So do you really got an extra $100 million laying around Florida State? No,
not
probably
if you want
not.
To get out of the ACC, that's for sure.
Exactly. So,
but
we've got,
regardless of all that, it comes down to, you're paid $10 million to run the football program. If it's not up to par, I'm going to tell you need to make changes. Now you can make those changes, or I'll make them myself, and that includes removing you. So Mike Norvell made the changes. Now, when you make changes, you're expected to make changes that impact the program in a positive way. That's your job. That's no different than when Urban had to change offensive coordinators after Ed Warner. It was expected that he would make changes that would positively impact the program. He did. If you don't, then you're gone. Like the money in college football is so large that like $100 million sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. However, if your program's bad enough, I can't tell you how fast they will find it.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they come up with, well, whatever they do. Maybe Norvell gets it turned around, but a little bit of a reset of the show. But everybody out there watching, please hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this show. December 7th, championship weekend. Also, we're going to be live at Sagario in Hubbard, Ohio. Noon again, Carter?
Yeah, we're going noon. Let me see if I can find the graphic real quick. I think producer Ed has it somewhere. But yeah, we're going to be live December 7th, championship Saturday, at Sagaro Lounge in Hubbard, Ohio, which is north for those of you who are not as familiar with the area. This one's going to be awesome. Like the last one was awesome. I don't mean to say anything negative about anything, but they're all awesome. But this one right here is going to be fucking insane because I've already talked to Steve so many times, who's the owner of Sagaro, and he is ready to blow this thing out. We are going to have all kinds of shit. It's going to be an awesome environment. There's TVs everywhere. There's cigars, bourbon, liquor, beer, like whatever you want. We'll get there. I think doors open at 11, if I remember correctly, maybe 10. But we'll be there ahead of time getting set up. And it's going to be awesome. There's probably going to be some giveaways, some things like that for people that show up. It's going to be a blast, man. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, and we'll have that set up. So, like and subscribe. December 7th, be there. Come hang out with me, Carter, and Richie, and we're gonna get it going. So
yeah, and let's go ahead and let's pay off on the graphic here. Let's pay off on the tees, and let's talk about what's going on at Ohio State, because I think things could get interesting at Ohio State at the quarterback position. So I know, Richie, you and I talked about it a little bit, and it's out there now that a quarterback, a highly recruited, really highly sought after quarterback for Ohio State, for the Buckeyes, could be on his way out. And that's none other than Mr. Aaron Noland himself. And reports came out today that there's a good chance that at the end of the year, he finds himself in the portal. And I think that's interesting because this room right now is so deep, right? You got 5 guys that I think, outside of Lincoln Keenholz, who I like Lincoln. He's a good kid. He was always a project, right? He was never going to be an early starter or anything like that. Always a project kid. He's just getting lost in the shuffle. So I think that one everybody kind of assumes is on his way out. But outside of that, you got 4 kids in Will Howard, Devin Brown, Aaron Noland, and Julian Sain that I think they all expected to be starters at Ohio State. And obviously Will got the job this year and is playing well, and he's going to leave at the end of the year, which leaves it open for a little bit of a competition. What do you think? What do you guys think? Do you think that the right move for Aaron Noland at this point is to leave?
Go ahead, Rich. Go first.
I think he needs to stay because there could be a legitimate shot coming up in spring ball with him getting reps with the first team. I don't want him to transfer just for selfish reasons, because I think the kid is a top level talent. I just, what if he goes to an SEC school like Bama and he shows out next year? Like, I think the development with Ryan Day and that offense, I think Aaron's Ayers should stay. He should stick it out. He should fight to compete for that starting QB position come next year. Come spring ball, fall camp. I plus he's a left-handed quarterback. You don't see that many left-handed quarterbacks, in college, and I think that'd be kind of like the unicorn in the Ohio State football program. Because when was the last lefty quarterback? Steve Belisari. That's the last time I remember a left-handed quarterback.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it'd be kind of neat to see a left-handed quarterback take that quarterback helm at Ohio State. And it's going to be a position. It's going to be a battle come the springtime. And if he goes, I understand why he goes. But for me, I would like for him to stay and compete and see what he can do down there.
Well, there's in my opinion, there's two ways to look at this. Nothing has happened yet. I haven't looked at the travel rosters too much to see if people were if he got left behind, and I know that is a big deal to some people. You can.
I would imagine he has. I don't think you travel with 4 quarterbacks very often.
No, and I think that plays into it. And then I remember whenever it was going bad in the spring, when people were saying he wasn't with the team, his dad did an interview with Juck on Bucks and came out and said, "No, we're here." And I don't know what to make of that situation, because I feel like it got started on a bad foot with the coaching staff, because I guess he was late or something like that. And somebody that knows him will probably see this freak out. But, I mean, the stuff like this doesn't get out if it's not being talked about.
Yeah, I mean, so I go back and forth because, like, where there's smoke, there's fire most of the time, right? Like,
yes,
in general, that is typically an accurate statement. Now, my understanding is that there has been no developments over the past 8 months that lead you to believe he's going to transfer. That's my understanding from people I've talked to. Now, could they not know? Could things? I don't know. But my understanding is he's locked in, and he's ready to compete with Julian Sain. But the thing that makes it all a little bit more realistic, or a little more, is I know how high the coaches at Ohio State are on Julian Sain, and I also know how high they are on Tavian St. Clair. And when you bring in a kid like Tavian St. Clair, who is a bona fide star waiting to happen. Now, he's going to need time. He's not going to be ready to start freshman year. Most kids aren't. Julian Sain wasn't even ready to start freshman year. Now, he was ready to compete. He was damn near ready. But when you bring in another kid like that, and all of a sudden, if you're Aaron Nolan, you're getting squeezed from both sides, right? You got this kid, Julian Sain, who everybody has reported and believes, and coaches, from my understanding, believe as well, is somewhat leaps and bounds ahead of Aaron Nolan. And then they're bringing in this kid a year behind you who they believe is of a similar caliber. All of a sudden, your window and your opportunity becomes so small that it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Now, it does get interesting. And so this is why I don't think he's going to transfer, is I think the kid, from what I understand about him, I think the kid has enough self-confidence and enough foresight to understand that he's not ready to start at any major program in college football next year.
Well,
and so one more year of development under Ryan Day could be more beneficial than transferring to a lesser program to get playing time right away.
Right.
Also, another thing too is are they using his red shirt this year?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have an extra year.
Yeah.
And I think
on top of that, let's just be honest about it. If let's assume, because this is where I think it gets really interesting, is I think most Buckeye fans would assume Lincoln Kienholz is gone.
Yeah.
Right? I think he wants to play football, and that's never going to happen at Ohio State. He has no path to the field.
Yeah.
Even if so, I think Devin Brown's also gone. But even if Devin Brown were to come back and win the job, the backup's gonna be Sane or Nolan. Like Kienholz is third string. He's got no path to the field. So he's gone. Devin Brown, I think, stays through the spring and then hits the spring transfer portal if Sane wins the job. The only thing that I can say is that if I'm Ryan Day, and I think I have a decent insight on this, you don't want your room to be 2 redshirt freshmen and a true freshman.
No. You got to have somebody with some experience.
No.
So Devin Brown might stay, and they might make him tell him he's leading the competition after spring to keep him. Specifically to have that. And I don't know if Devin Brown, I know Devin Brown burned the boats and everything like that. I don't think he is a projected NFL prospect. So my sale to Devin Brown is, hey, you could transfer, you could play football. You could stay here and compete. And I don't know the kid from Adam, right? So I have no idea. But just judging off what I know about him and his character, I think coaching could be something that he is interested in later on. And you could sell him on the fact that stay here, compete for the job. Maybe he plays a couple games, maybe whatever. But then you line him up to become a quarterback's coach.
Right.
Well, if I'm Devin Brown, this is might hurt some Buckeye fans out there's feelings, but if I'm Devin Brown, why would I want to coach for Ryan Day because remember his position coach Corey Dennis got scooted out the door.
Hold on. I didn't say he becomes quarterback's coach at Ohio State.
No. I'm just saying, why would you even want to? I mean, not to doubt that Ryan and those guys aren't good and can't do good things, but like, I think, maybe if you're Devin Brown, don't you want to see another program? This is your last year. If, they tell you rainbow's butter.
He's got 2 more.
I thought next year's his last year eligibility.
No, he was redshirted. He's got 2 more.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't want. You would think the quarterback guy wouldn't have quarterback room issues. That's what
I mean, so to be fair, these are good issues to have.
Yeah,
okay?
dude. Yeah, these are any coach in America would have loved to have this type of problem.
These are good issues to have. They have, and so you can miss me with all that Corey Dennis bullshit because, first of all, Devin Brown respects Corey Dennis, and he also respects how Corey left. Like he understands it. I promise you, and he knew it had to happen. On top of that, it's a totally different situation where it's apples and oranges. But what I'm saying is, Devin has understood for 2 years. He's 1 snap away from being the starting quarterback at Ohio State, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Why would at that point? Why leave? Like, especially if you don't have any like I don't know I don't know the kid well enough to know what his aspirations are, right? Like if he thinks himself as an NFL first round pick, then absolutely get the fuck. Why are you even here?
Right.
Get the fuck out of here. But I don't think that's what he thinks. I think he understands he's probably limited, and why not set yourself up for a future? And there's no better way to do that than to tie yourself to somebody like Ryan Day, who has infinite connections in the industry. And so, and I'm not saying that's why you stay. Like if you think you can go start at a Ole Miss or something like that, like absolutely go take the bag, because they're going to offer you an NIL deal, and go start somewhere and go play football. And Ole Miss wouldn't, like, I don't know what Ole Miss's quarterback room looks like after Jackson Dart, but like there's plenty of coaches you can go play for. So I think that Ryan Day is going to work really hard to keep Devin Brown around, because you don't, I mean, I don't care how good Julian Sane is. You do not want your room to be two redshirt freshmen and a true freshman. You want some experience.
Yeah, you want somebody to have experience. I mean, take 2014, for example. Braxton goes down. JT steps in. JT gets injured against the team up north. I think it was the fourth quarter, breaks his leg. Cardale comes in. I mean, hypothetically, what if that team was this year's team, and Cardale transferred? Like, who are you going to have? Chugging off at quarterback that year?
Yeah. I mean, it would have been bad.
I think he stays because, like Carter said, he is one snap away from starting quarterback. Yeah. One injury, one ACL pop, tear, anything.
Yeah. Now, devil's advocate of that, if Devin Brown does transfer, I think Aaron Nolan stays, because guess what? Even if he loses the job, he's one snap away.
Yeah, he's second in line.
Yeah. And this, I mean, you're talking about playing 17, 18 games. That's a lot of games. That's an
NFL schedule right there.
Yeah. Quarterbacks get hurt all the time. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I think two of them leave probably. And if two leave, it's going to be Lincoln and probably Air. And
I could see that.
I think that just makes the most sense, because I think Lincoln knows he has no path, like absolutely no path to the field.
And
so I think he's gone.
And also, whenever we're saying this, we want to see these kids be in the top position to be successful as possible. We're not, doing just, we're just here, what's the best situation for each kid?
We're speculating, right?
Yeah. Yes,
and
we are.
We're speculating, and we're just talking through what makes sense to us. We're obviously not in the room. We don't know what they're talking about. We don't. For all I know, Aaron Nolan believes he could start next year. And honestly, if he didn't believe that, I would question him.
Yeah. Question the fire, the passion, his drive and everything like that. What the hell are you doing here at Ohio State then,
It'll be interesting, but there are the reason that we brought this up is there are reports coming out from people that are saying that Aaron Nolan is probably going to transfer. I think that's an easy thing to say. That's why I made it the graphic. That's why that's the topic. That's an easy thing to say without any information, because it makes the most sense. Like, of everybody on the roster other than Lincoln Keenholz, he is the most likely to transfer, because he has a kid the same age as him who is already above him on the depth chart and is, from all reports, well above him in development. And he's going to be squeezed by a kid who's a top recruit, who, Michigan fans, I know this is hard to understand. He is a top recruit from the state of Ohio at quarterback that actually went to the in-state school.
You mean, hey, LSU's nowhere near Michigan?
No, surprisingly.
I thought
and on top of that, they didn't have to pay him $10.5 million to do it.
Right. Yeah.
But hey, neither here nor there. But let's finish up real quick with some Notre Dame talk. I've been teasing it all week, and we keep getting on these rants and not going over it and not talking about it. So I do want to touch on it quickly. There's not much to say. Yeah, go ahead.
Brother, we almost have 50 people in here. Can we get you guys to hit the like and subscribe button and help us grow this show, if you would? Like and subscribe. Please. That helps. Live show December 7th, Sagario, Hubbard, Ohio. If you have questions.
Keep adding an I. It's Sagaro.
Sagaro?
Yeah.
Sagaro?
It's Cigar with an O, dude. Sagario. I'm like, what the hell's he getting Sagario? I'm like,
it's like that show or that movie Sicario.
Sicario,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, you know, whatever. Hey, Sicario. It's Sagaro Lounge in Hubbard, Ohio. We will be there December 7th watching all the games. I booked a room, or I'm booking a room. Like, I'm staying up north. I'm from Columbus, so it's a little bit of a hike, but I'm staying up there. So I'll be there for all the games. I'll be hanging out. I don't care what these two do, but we'll be chilling. So come hang out with us. But Notre Dame, not a lot on the Notre Dame front that we need to talk about. We already talked about Thomas Davis Jr. committing, which was a big commitment for the Irish. We kind of recapped the Florida State game earlier this week, and there wasn't much to talk about there. I will give my quick breakdown of that game. It went exactly as I thought it would go. Notre Dame, for a lack of better terms, bent them over and imposed their will on them for the entire game. They outrushed them. I mean, they did everything I said they were going to do, and I was really happy that it happened that way, because when I break down games, I get really nervous when I find games that are cut and dry that easy, because those are the games somebody fucks up. And Notre Dame didn't do it. So that was great. They fucked them and put them to bed early. And, you know, that was easy. And you guys don't have anything really to add to that game, right? We can just move on from that. That was.
No,
Ooh. Are you talking about air? Now that's an interesting move.
That would be
by Michigan fan logic, you guys have $10.5 million of unused NIL funds.
Yes.
You guys could go get air. Now we're talking. That would be interesting. I hadn't thought about that, honestly, and that would be crazy. Could you imagine a kid transferring from Ohio State to Michigan?
Oh, the anything Buckeye scoop, Buckeye, just Buckeye
everybody would be
in general will go go wild.
Hey, that you know what? I like it. I hope it happens.
Hey,
that would be fucking awesome. He could start next year.
Yeah, it'd be rough.
Well, I mean, who the hell else is gonna start?
That is true.
They gonna trot Alex Orgy out there again?
I think they tried the orgy experience.
Yeah, they don't like orgies up in Ann Arbor.
No,
they were probably thinking it was more like a Diddy party. So
yeah. Well, let's not forget they probably are going to get Miller Moss. So
good luck with that.
Yeah,
good luck with that. So.
Anyways, Florida State, that went as expected. I think everybody thought that was going to happen. They played one of the worst teams in college football. I think the only worse team than Florida State is Purdue, if I'm being honest. I mean, outside of Kent State, but
true.
Yeah. But then this week, Notre Dame's got another true test. They get to face off against Virginia. And it's another week of just Notre Dame has to go out there if they want to continue to be ranked in the top 10, if they want to continue this path towards the playoffs. They got to go out and they got to take care of business. It's Tyson all day, Charger. And if it's not, it was rigged.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you guys? I can break it down, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow. But I've looked at this game. I haven't watched any UVA film because why would you? It's embarrassing. They're terrible.
I beat Pitt.
Okay, and
ACC's deep in quarter.
According to SMU's coach, yeah.
I like Rhett Lashley, and he's going to be. If
I have nothing against him.
If
he's doing his job.
Here's a funny tidbit here. Rhett Lashley's going to be on everybody who fires their coach that they feel that their job is better than SMU. They're all going to put Rhett Lashley on the list to they're going to put Rhett Lashley on the list to hire him, and he's not going to go anywhere at all. He is going to stay at SMU. He is locked in because
the money's there.
Yeah.
I mean, they got money on to burn, clearly. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think Notre Dame probably wins by 50.
Yeah.
I mean, Notre Dame's been blowing people out
they've
the last
just been
3 weeks.
This is what they should have done all year, and that Northern Illinois loss is really going to just be a thorn in my side because I have to hear about it all the time, and it's like, dude, all right, whatever. Like, get over it. It happened. But, but nobody respects them, which is good.
We got a brouhaha going on up in Colorado State in Wyoming.
My guys, C-Dubs here. 10 million and still turned down. It's a sinking ship. You know what? I tweeted it out last night. I've been on a little bit of a Twitter bender, where it's just it's so fun. Like it's so fun to troll these people. And I tweeted it out, and this guy responded to it with a Dave Chappelle gif that was you hate to see it, but you also love to see it. Right? Like, I mean, you hate to see it, man. 5-5, exactly. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Who does Michigan play this week? Do you know? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'll look real quick.
They have a bye this week, don't they? Hold on, I'll pull it up. Because they got 2 games left.
Yeah, they got a bye.
Yeah, they got a bye.
They got a bye this week.
Next week.
And then Northwestern. Hey, don't let them fuck around and lose to Northwestern. Like, I don't think it's possible. I don't think they're that bad. But let them fuck around and lose to Northwestern and come into Columbus 5-6 with their hopes of being eligible for a bowl game on the lines. That would be awesome. Honestly, I think that would make that game way more interesting. Because otherwise, they have nothing to play for.
No,
not at all.
But I think that's all we got. I think the fight's about to start. I got to go put these kids to bed. They've been up way too long.
Oh, let them stay up. Let them watch the fight. It's going to get underway.
Let the boy watch.
Real quick before we end it, Sagaro, Hubbard, Ohio, December 7th, noon.
There you go. You got it.
Right. You got it.
If everyone can, please hit the like and subscribe button so we can grow this channel. And with that, I got nothing else. Carter, you want to end it?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks for coming out. Stay cool.